Maya Chen had always been the kind of woman who walked fast and looked straight ahead. In a city like Chicago, that was not a personality flaw. It was a survival skill. She had perfected the art of invisibility, of moving through crowds without making eye contact, without slowing down, without letting the weight of someone else's pain attach itself to her already heavy shoulders. She had her own bills, her own grief, her own quiet battles that nobody on the street could see. So every morning, she walked the same 6 blocks from the train station to her office building, coffee in hand, earbuds in, world locked out. And every morning, she passed the same man sitting on the corner of Madison and Wells. He was always there before sunrise and always gone before dark. He had a gray beard that curled at the edges, a wool blanket that had seen better decades, and a small cardboard sign that simply read, "Just a smile will do." Maya had never smiled. She had never stopped. She had never once looked long enough to notice that the man had kind eyes, the kind that held stories, not bitterness. But on a Tuesday in February, the coldest morning of the year, everything changed. Maya had just gotten the phone call she had been dreading for 3 weeks. Her mother, who lived 6 states away, had taken a turn for the worse. The doctors were not hopeful. Maya stood frozen on the sidewalk, phone pressed to her ear, the city moving around her like a river around a stone. When she finally lowered the phone, her vision was blurry and her chest felt like someone had filled it with concrete. She did not know why she stopped walking. She did not know why, out of every person on that crowded street, she turned toward the man with the wool blanket and the cardboard sign. But she did. He looked up at her without surprise, as though he had been expecting her for a long time. His name, she would later learn, was Gerald. He was 61 years old. He had been a structural engineer for 22 years before a workplace injury. An insurance dispute and a divorce had dismantled everything he had built. He did not tell her any of that in the first moment. In the first moment, he simply looked at her face. Really looked. The way people rarely do anymore. And said quietly, "Whatever it is, it's going to be okay." Maya blinked. Her lip trembled. And then, without thinking, without planning, without any of the careful emotional armor she had spent years constructing, she asked the question that surprised even herself. "Can I hug you?" she whispered. "I think you need it," Gerald
stared at her for a long moment. Something moved across his face, not shock, but something deeper, something fragile. And then, very slowly, his eyes filled with tears. He did not answer her question right away. Instead, he looked down at his hands and said, in a voice so low she had to lean in to hear it, "Nobody has asked me that in 4 years. 4 years. Maya felt those 2 words like a physical blow. 4 years without a single human being reaching out to touch his shoulder, to acknowledge that he was real, that he was there, that he mattered. She sat down on the cold concrete beside him, right there on Madison and Wells, in her wool coat and her office heels, and she put her arms around this stranger. And Gerald, this man who had lost his career, his home, his family, and 4 years of human warmth, held on. He held on the way a drowning person holds a rope. His shoulders shook. He did not make a sound, but she could feel the grief moving through him, like a wave that had been waiting a very long time to break. They sat like that for nearly 5 minutes. Neither of them spoke. Around them the city roared on, indifferent and relentless. But in that small circle of 2 people on a cold sidewalk, something ancient and necessary was happening. When Gerald finally pulled back, he looked at her with eyes that were red and wet and somehow lighter than before. "You stopped," he said. "You're the first one who ever stopped." Maya wiped her own face with the back of her hand. "Why does your sign say a smile will do?" she asked. He smiled then, a real one, slow and warm and slightly broken. "Because I didn't want to ask for too much," he said. Maya went back every morning after that. She brought coffee, then food, then eventually connected Gerald with a local shelter and a legal aid organization that helped him reopen his insurance case. 6 months later, Gerald had a small apartment and a part-time consulting job. But he told Maya once that none of it would have started without that one frozen Tuesday morning when a woman in office heels sat down on cold concrete and asked if she could hug a stranger. The city had not changed, but two people in it had, completely, permanently, and beautifully. If this story moved you, you are exactly who Kindness Corner Stories is made for. Please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that small acts of kindness can change everything. And subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories so you never miss a story that warms your heart and restores your faith in humanity. We'll see you in the next one.